Okay, in our first video, we talked about what abortion is, which is the killing of an innocent child in the womb, and the fact that you don't have to be Catholic or even a religious person at all. You don't have to believe in God at all to oppose abortion and understand that it's a moral evil. There are atheists that go to the annual March for Life every January, right alongside Catholics and Baptists and everybody else. So it's not a religious issue. And so, in line with that, the next thing I want to talk about is the idea that we should not legislate morality. That somehow or other it's wrong for us to try and force our moral convictions. It might not be a religious conviction, but a moral conviction that we shouldn't enforce morality through the force of law. And I've honestly never understood that argument because we do that all the time, right? Every law that we have in our nation is a moral law, or it should be a moral law. It addresses a moral issue, right? We have laws against murder. Why? Because we recognize that murder is wrong. It's a moral evil. People shouldn't do it, and they need to be punished if they do. We have laws against rape for the same reason. We have laws against theft. We have laws against perjury. We have laws against fraud. We have, all of these things we have laws against because we recognize they're morally wrong. They're morally wrong. That's why we have laws against them. Now, does that mean that we need to have laws against everything that's sinful? No. And the church has never, said that we need to have laws against everything that's sinful, because we're all sinners. We all sin, each and every day. We fall short of that standard of love, that standard of perfection that God calls us to. But the church has never said that every sin should be illegal. In fact, she said the opposite. St. Augustine talks about this in his City of God. If we attempt to legislate morality to the extent that every single sin is punishable by the force of law, that would place such an undue burden on society, right? It would place an undue burden on the people, who would have to be constantly in fear of punishment because, like I said, we sin all the time, and it would place an undue burden on those governing society itself. Because can you imagine the police force and the judicial system and everything that we would have to have in place to even attempt to do that? So no, it's a ridiculous idea to suggest that everything that's sinful should be illegal. But we've always recognized in civil societies that there are some sins that are so harmful, that are so egregious, that are so disruptive to society, that for society to function well, people need to be protected against those sins through the force of law. And those are things like I've already articulated, right? Murder, theft, perjury, these things that just would prevent us from being able to lead good, productive lives as citizens in the state. So the question is not, can we legislate morality or can we not legislate morality? Because of course we do. Of course we legislate morality. The question is, does abortion, which, as I said in the last video, we have to remember is the killing of a child in the womb, is that particular evil act, is that particular sin so grave that we need to legislate against that for the good of society? That's the question. I would argue yes. The Catholic Church historically has argued yes, because what you're talking about is taking the life of an innocent human being. And if we begin to tolerate that in our society, for whatever reason, if we begin to tolerate that, then there's not much left that we won't tolerate. So for the good of society, we need to protect the lives, protect the rights, especially of the most innocent and the most helpless, and those who don't have that voice to speak for themselves.